broadcast. We're a little late getting started here, so just bear with me while I see whether we can get my friend on here. Oh, there we are. Look at that, like clockwork, huh?
Oh my God!
How awesome is that?
Amazing. And this is my phone. I'm doing it on my phone.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, well done. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome to the broadcast. We got we've got some viewers starting to hop on, and man, now I want to make sure I don't butcher the name. So, how do you pronounce your name?
Chetan.
Chetan, right? Okay, got it.
Chet's fine. Chet's fine.
Chet's fine. Okay, Chet, even easier.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great. Okay, Chet, you know, a lot of people are looking forward to hearing from you, my friend, because you bring the unique perspective of a trader,
Sure thing.
right? And not somebody who's looking at getting into an opportunity, looking to make a bunch of money on the MLM side. And I've never been, you know, when it comes to these opportunities, I've always been about the product, because if the product doesn't work, then the rest of it, forget about it. So, yeah. So today I have the distinct pleasure of having you on this webinar, and have you speak, not from, you know, I'm online and I make $1 million, but rather, hey, I've been in the trading industry, I've been there, done that, and yeah, love to hear your perspective, how you
absolutely,
you know, your background in trading and what you think of USI. Sure.
Should we just kick off then, or?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Okay, cool. So I dabbled in trading sort of 2012, around that time. And unknown to me at the time, to actually get into trading, to be on a course where you can learn trading, that process is pretty cutthroat. So if you imagine 3,000 people will apply, they'll shortlist it down to 300 people, 50 people will get interviewed, and then 20 to 30 people will make it onto a course. And lucky for me, I was in that 20 or 30 people. Now, what I learned very quickly is that it's a very strict discipline, you know, when you first learn trading. So when I compare that to USI, you're almost opening the door and allowing people to come on board onto a trading platform who have had no experience whatsoever. So, you know, that in itself is a huge blessing. But what I actually endured, and I'll use the word endured because that's exactly how it felt at the time, was that it's a very serious thing. It's a very cutthroat thing as well. And it's almost as if you almost feel there's a sense of, you know, it's the opportunity is only open to a privileged few. Now, I stumbled upon it because in my hometown, a couple of investors were looking to set up a trading platform. They were going to send us over to London to learn how to trade Brent crude, and then come back to Leicester, and I would have been like a senior broker looking after a team of brokers. And all I will say to you is when I was told about USI, the thing that turned me on the most was the sophistication of the software. I was in complete disbelief about the fact that how can a software perform in such a way where it's allowing you to win more of the time than it is, you know, as opposed to losing, and automated at that, which means you're not even looking at it while it's performing. So if I compare that to my days when I was learning how to trade, my day typically started at 5 a.m. every morning. I was in the office at 7 a.m. Trade opened at 7:30 a.m. and would close at 7:30 p.m. And that was Monday to Friday. This is how my life became. And while you're learning how to trade, you were also expected to read the Financial Times on the way into work on the tube. You were asked questions on that. You were expected to read books that were 300 and 400 pages in the space of a couple of nights, and deliver synopsises on these books on what you understood. And at the same time, have the concentration to actually trade as well. Now, volumes, let's talk about sort of money, okay? Brent crude back then traded at $2,000 a barrel. So what you wouldn't be doing, Mark, is calling me and saying, hi, Chet, I've got, could you put $2,000 down on one barrel? It's unheard of. In the same way, when I went along to the event in Croydon, Forex as well, nobody really trades Forex in the volumes of anything less than, let's say, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. So what is USI allowing us to do? USI is allowing somebody who has been wanting to maybe, try trading at this incredible opportunity where the software itself does the work for you, and then the cost of the software is absolutely minimal. We were talking at the event that, traditional software to trade Forex is around circa £5,000. That's just to buy the software off the shelf. You're then having to pay for a subscription, which you would pay every month to use that software. And then you would also pay a cost for any updates to that software. So then you're sitting there. When I was sat there in the presentation, I was waiting for the price, and they said it's €600, and that's a one-off lifetime fee, no cost for subscriptions and no cost for updates. And I just sat there and I thought, this is too good to be true, because the fees that I was expected to pay as a trader at a desk in an exchange in the city was £2,500 per month just to sit there. So if you imagine you're using the trading platform's money, you're paying £2,500 desk fees, and then anything you make, you're splitting with them. So you quickly realize that you need to be up in profit at the end of the month, just to even walk away with, say, £5,000 for yourself. You need to have traded in excess of about £12,500 using volumes of $2,000 at a time for a barrel. So let's talk about barrels. I was, a minimum trade would be something like, 1,000 barrels or 2,000 barrels. That's the kind of quantity we're talking. People often think that money on the internet with stock and shares is virtual money. It's not. Brent crude, this is how serious it is. If I put a trade on and I didn't close that trade, then that physical quantity of oil barrels would need to be delivered at somebody's address. So that is cutthroat. It's not one of these things where you sort of think, oh, it's just a quantity and you're trying to move the direction of the price with the volume of what you're buying in the market. Because if you buy and then you don't sell, that's a physical order for some goods. So all of that's really, really frightening, when you think about the bigger scheme of things. So here I was, 4-hour train ride down to Croydon. I walk in the room. Prior to attending the presentation, I had the pleasure of meeting Mark and also Harron, who is a big investor, as you know, and then also Ralph in Germany, came onto the phone. Now Ralph, seasoned trader, knows his stuff I'd say up to the degree of an art form. He was absolutely fantastic to speak to on the phone. And when he showed me how the software actually performs, it just blew my mind. I have to be honest with you, at that point, anything that anybody was saying about the compensation plan had just gone out the window. I wasn't even listening anymore, because the software itself, I sat there and I thought, no, this has got to be, this is unreal. I mean, what he's talking about is not a strategy that I've heard before. So we talked about strategy. Now, if I tell you about people who maybe traditionally trade, they're looking at the market. But safest way to play is go with the flow of the market. You will have things called fundamentals that will help you. So you're looking at things like market conditions, politically, what's going on in the world at the time, where are the wars breaking out. All of this sort of stuff can affect the price of stocks and shares. Ralph explained to me that what USI is not doing, which would be a very high risk strategy, is to actually go in, sit there all day, wait for the lowest price, and then wait all day and wait for the highest price to try and cash in on the largest margin. It doesn't work like that. What they're actually doing is depending on the amount of your investment, which minimum is 1,000 of your home currency, I believe it is, or 1,000 euros. That in itself is unheard of, because you cannot trade generally on the stock exchange, or any sort of stocks and shares on a nominal value of about £1,000. So the fact that you're getting that introductory to go in and be able to do that is a big opportunity in itself. And then Ralph explained that what actually happens is the software is going in and out of the market. So it's high frequency trading. So it's trading frequently, where all it's looking to do is make a small margin, but very, very often. So it's buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Now, here's the other thing. It works on the basis of the fact that it's correlation trading. So it could be, let's say, sterling paired up with the US dollar, and then the US dollar paired up with, let's say, the yen. So if they both start off on equal footing, and one of the currencies, gains 50 points or loses 50 points, it's in that 50 points variance that the software is actually making the money. It's absolutely ingenious from the point of view of how it's done. After listening to all of this, like I said, the compensation plan I wasn't even listening to, and I sat down with Harron, with Mike. We had Ralph on the phone, and I had some questions, because I'm a very high detail person. The kind of questions I'll be asked by people are very high detail as well. And the things I wanted to know about were, how would this ever go wrong? And Mike, most authentically, hand on heart, said the only way we could see this failing would be if the market were to crash. But even then, and as we all know, 7th of October was a pivotal point to test this software. When sterling dropped to its all-time low that it never has done, the software still made 3.67% growth on the failure of that currency. So generally, what you would have thought is, with it crashing like that, would the software be robust enough to handle that change, that fluctuation, and still be able to make money? And lo and behold, it did. At that point, I thought, I've seen enough, I've heard enough. And then I sat there and I thought, well, just on the point of view of the software alone, I was sold on it, because, look at the figures: 600 euros to buy the software, one-off lifetime fee, no subscription, no cost for the upgrades. You're almost sort of saying to somebody, you're able to start your own business in trading as a forex trader with outlay as little as 600 euros and 1,000 pounds in your own currency, and that's it. You're starting off as a trader. Now, I sat there and I thought, well, 1,000, okay, what happens with 1,000 then? So my understanding was that on £1,000 in your trading account, they are able to spread that, shall we call it risk, or that investment, or whatever you want to call it, over two currency pairs. So guess what? The more money that's actually in your trading account, they're trading across more pairs. So even on two pairs, they're giving you a return of something around 10%. More pairs just means a higher return. So typically, Harron was sat there, and I said, Harron, what kind of money are we talking here? He said, well, he's got £100,000 in a trading account. When I saw the results of how it was performing, it was absolutely mind-blowing. I just sat there and I thought to myself, either there's something that's not being told to us here, or is it really performing that way? So I was shown the spreadsheets. I saw the sheets and I just thought, all you can see is a curve that's going up, 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 up. And there's a few little fluctuations, but even then it's not losing. It's making money for you all the time. It's always making up. Even when it's going down, it's actually making the shortfall up again when it's winning. So, you can't go wrong with that. The other thing that was really interesting as well, which made a huge impression on me, is after we'd got over the fact that the software actually performs, he then went through the compensation plan. Now, network marketers out there, we all have similar questions where compensation plans are concerned. I know for a fact that when anybody would ever show me a business model, the moment they would draw the circle at the top and start drawing the legs, I'd go into panic mode, because I'd be thinking, how many levels am I going to have to keep doing this for? And Mark just looked at me quite plain, and he said, no, it's just 3 people. I said, right, what happens beyond that? He says, nothing, just 3 people. And I sat there and I thought, so, okay, but then after I've got the 3, then what? He goes, well, no, then you're just coaching people to do exactly what you've done. So then I do, again, in a little bit of disbelief, I then listened to your presentation, Mark, hour and 20 minutes, and you go on and on about the 3x3. And then I sat there and I thought, well, if it's only 3 people, and in traditional network marketing businesses, we're encouraged to recruit, and that can sometimes put people off. If you're only looking for 3 people, you know, the beauty of that is you can actually approach 3 of your strongest players that you may have actually, had the pleasure of dealing with in other businesses, and you know that your business is actually secure now in the matrix. Now, even the matrix, I asked the question to Mark and to Harron, that what's the basis of the the money that you're putting into the trading account? Now, here's the thing, guys. I mean, there's some people who have probably originally when they were looking at USI were thinking, I'll just sell as many robots as I possibly can. And, there's lots of sort of creative ways on which you would get your money back and what you could do and what have you. And I would say the way I've looked at it is, yes, let's definitely, give this software to the world, because it's a groundbreaking opportunity to get into a field of trading which is ordinarily not available to everybody. It does scare people because people do not think that it would be this simple to actually be able to join a trading platform and actually start Forex trading. So it's great that we're getting out the software robots so that people can, have a go at this. But I think of it more like this, that the matrix, how I look at it, it's almost like that is our, how can I put it? That's like our cash stability in a way. So that is, the more money that is actually in the matrix is what strengthens the equity, in our matrix. So if you are, if you're selling robots and, you've sold a lot, and I know there's lots of guys that are now coming through USI, and it's only been 3 or 4 weeks, and we're talking people have referred 50, 75, 100, people who actually bought the robots. Now, when the compensation plan kicks in, all the passive income that's coming through, if you then go and put that into your trading account, have you any idea of the power of how much you're actually strengthening the equity that's then sitting in the matrix? And talking about the compensation plan, one thing that I haven't touched on yet is, to say that the compensation plan and the passive income is coming from things like, the 150 euros that the business, that USI-Tech puts back into the matrix, once a robot has been sold or the software has been sold. That's pretty incredible. Fees, brokerage fees. I just mentioned to you earlier that trading Brent crude, £2,500 were the fees to actually sit there to be able to trade. Okay, so that would be the equivalent of the fact that we have 0 subscription. So 2,500 compared to this product, 0 subscription. Then on those trades, there would be a brokerage fee. Again, that's charged out to somebody. Guess what? The brokerage fees, they're giving them back to us. It just doesn't make sense for even somebody who is already trading Forex and doing it without this. They should stop that and actually do this. So my Facebook messages have been so basic. I've just been telling people, if you're Forex trading, you need to get in touch, because you need to stop doing it the way that you're doing and do it this way, because there are so many added bonuses, perks, the compensation plan, the security, you name it, it's there, it's been built in. And the other thing is as well, and Mark, you do deserve a lot of credit for this, and you've been doing this from day one. The transparency that we've been getting from the likes of yourself, from Mark, from Ralph, from even people who are like the large investors like Harron, has been second to none. So the opportunity, in some sense, how can I put it? If it was something that they were unsure about, you would get a notion that someone may be trying to hide something from you. Here, no matter how many questions we get asked, 10 to 15 minutes, we get answers straight away. And Mark, you've been very consistent with, your broadcasts, with what you've been putting on the chat groups, the Facebook group. So I guess the message that I'm trying to say is that the only thing that could be standing between you and the opportunity is literally going to be your own fear of not knowing what the unknown actually is. But if you can just take that small leap of faith and come a little bit further, what lies ahead, all I can say is, it's not going to be lonely for the USI members to go on holiday together, because, there'll be plenty of us sitting on beaches next to each other without actually worrying about what's happening with our trading, because it's all been taken care of. And I don't know what else to really say. It's just a phenomenal opportunity, even just from a trading point of view. If you're already out there, people who are trading Forex, get them to stop doing it the way that they're doing it. They're actually, if I'm honest, they're sabotaging their trades by using another software. This is the software to go with, and this is the shape of things to come. The fact that they've actually coupled two things together, which is, one, they're allowing you to enter the trading world doing Forex, which is the one that yields the highest return in stocks and share trading, and secondly, they're coupling it with a compensation plan that I have never seen anything of the likes before. 3 people is all they're asking of you. It's not one of these things where then a leg breaks off and you have to find somebody to replace it and all the rest of it. And this is, it's not just passive income. It's actually passive business, because you're not doing anything. Once you've found your 3 people and the software's working, well, what else is it that you're doing? You're going to be logging in once a month and checking that there's actually money there. It's not even a question of checking. It won't be a question of checking, have I made any? You'll be asking, how much have I actually made? And it just doesn't get better than this. It really doesn't. Passive income, we hear about that all the time. When somebody says that to you in a network marketing sense, your questions will always be, is it lifetime? Will it be this? Will it be that? Where does it come from? Well, the thing is, this isn't just passive income, it's passive business. Think, you're not doing anything beyond buying your software and showing 3 people how to do the same. That's it. Then your physical work is logging in, checking, using PayPal to get your money out, and that's it. There's nothing more that's being asked of you. I can't stress it highly enough. I mean, my angle has always been, because I've been taught and coached by some great people out there. Raheem's my coach. I've received a lot of value from yourself, Mark. Ali Saeed, another very knowledgeable fellow in network marketing. Waka Sanjum, Cam. All of these people are the people that I'm surrounded by. Very, very astute, very detailed people. Raheem maybe not so much, but the other value that he brings you around coaching is fantastic. And when I sort of, with what I've been shown and what have you, I've always been told there's 2 things that would leverage my decision from what I've seen so far. 1 is product. 2 is leadership. And the product, I can't rave on about it enough. I think sometimes I might have to relook at my pitch a little bit, because I think I get so excited about it. People look like I'm smoking something or I'm high on something, and they think Chet's missing the plot here. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, you need to look at it from where I'm looking at it from. And I think it's hard to convey that, because if a person has never done trading before and realizes what the physical outlays are and the risks that are involved, I can tell you this. It was 5 a.m. starts. I used to come home at about 8:45. Food was like a boil in the bag packet of noodles, and then I would be reading my books and stuff. And then bed was about 12, 1 o'clock, and I was up again at 5 when Friday would come. The Jordan Belforts of the exchange were, in the bars and doing whatever. I used to go home, get into bed, and I'd go to bed on Friday and wake up again on Sunday, dreading Monday morning. Because when you're winning, you love it. But when you lose, it's the scariest thing, because it's like, you're not talking small sums of money, it's massive. And so, I mean, can you imagine the pressures of, let's say, knowing that I've got 2 days left of the calendar month, everything is in place, that I'm doing well and I'm going to get my paycheck, and then something happens in the Middle East which I have no control over, and suddenly everything I've worked for is gone. It's that cutthroat. It's scary. It's real scary stuff. This takes out all of the discomfort. It takes out all of the risk. And as Mark said, I said, what's the biggest risk? Well, how would this fail? He goes, if the market unexpectedly crashed and we didn't know what was going on, that would be the only thing. But guys, look, any business, it does carry an element of risk. That. There are a lot more easier ways out there to fail in business. This isn't one of them. It does not allow you to fail. There is nothing physically in place that will say to you that if I do this, I will fail. Something else that I found out as well, which was quite interesting. People have sort of been asking questions around the matrix element, and is it one of these things where so I have signed up, and I'm on the search for my other two now. I've got one already, and people are saying, oh well, what if one leg of the business is just growing really big? Does that mean that it's gonna take longer to actually build the other legs? Well, no, because these guys have been that fair with you as a partner in this business, and we are partners. You have to remember that we're partners, and I can demonstrate to you why we are. We're partners because whilst I'm still looking for my other two people, the team underneath me is already being built, and above me it's already built. So originally I was sitting there thinking, yeah, I'll sign one person and then I'll decide where I'll put them. Then I'll sign another two and I'll decide where I put them. But guess what? These guys are all being put in at a level playing field, so that our growth and our equity in the business it's equal. It's just equal all of the time. Nobody's going to get ahead quicker than anybody else. But the thing is, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Long term, what are you going to be doing? I know that all of us who have joined at different stages, some people have already out recruited other people, so there are people who joined only a few weeks ago and they've got more people than people who've been in the business even longer than that. That part of it is in your hands. You must take responsibility for that element. But everything else, in terms of what the business is doing to make it fair, USI-Tech have made it as fair as possible. It is the most ethical way I have seen that a compensation plan has been rolled out, in line with the way that your recruitees, wherever they're going to be sitting, where they're placed, that's done in the fairest manner as well. So you've got no worry about, because I've seen other network marketing businesses which have the person at the top and then all the separate legs. There is a constant worry about where you're going to be sitting. And the other thing is as well, guys, go back to leadership. I said, so, to be led by product is, out of this world. Leadership, as some of you do know, I'm not, hiding any secrets here, but a lot of the guys that are in USI-Tech, a good thoroughbred of who we have been in other network marketing businesses before, where they have actually been successful. Mark, you for one, in another business, you've sponsored the highest earner in that business. Now, due diligence where that's concerned. Mark, you've done all the due diligence for us. Even then, I still took to, from an accountability perspective, to think of the people I'll be, bringing on board. I still took that 4-hour train ride and came to have a listen to what I wanted to hear, just to be sure. When you've got leaders like Mark in the business, people like Raheem, another big recruiter, Waka Sanjam, another big recruiter, why are these people able to still recruit from one opportunity to even starting another? Because the leadership and the relationships that they have built have been fostered on solid grounds of trust. So if these people are actually introducing you into this and are asking you to have a look at an opportunity, trust when I tell you that they have done the work for you already. Otherwise, they wouldn't be showing it to you. Mark cannot afford to his reputation to tarnish those relationships. Raheem is the same. I'm the same. So what we're bringing to the table here is an opportunity for you to be in part of an industry that ordinarily you wouldn't get a look in unless you had some, big collateral and big funds behind you. And secondly, a compensation plan that is second to none, and you're with leadership, again, that is second to none. I mean, the guys that are already involved, and even some of the new people that are coming through who are getting to get to know through the Facebook groups and the WhatsApp groups and what have you, there's some real sophistication, amongst the thoroughbred that are in this business. So take all those elements into account. You're part of something that's it's huge, and it's going to get bigger. It's a powerhouse. That's the only way I can explain it to you. It's a powerhouse. So forget passive income. It's passive business. You are not going to have to pay it too much attention for it to actually pay you back. And I can't thank you enough, Mark, for the due diligence that you've done previously. I can't thank Raheem enough for actually showing it to me as well. And I just hope from here on in, it is. I mean, I don't need to hope. It's just going to go strength to strength. We've got all the right elements in place.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I don't even know what more to say.
I don't think I can say anymore. I might pass out.
What I love about your whole testimony, your whole story, your whole everything, it is so real, down to earth, and you are energized, man. You are so energized.
It's just I'm talking to you now. My face is tingling. It really is. I think my frustration really is, Mark, is that when people don't get it, I find it so upsetting. It absolutely upsets me. I mean, in my own relationship, Tina is the one that has signed up, and Tina didn't get it for a little while. And after I'd been to Croydon and spoke with Mark and with Ralph and with Harren, it was incredible that I was able to tell Tina this business model in 10 minutes, and she sat there, her face just lit up, and she went, I completely get this. And I just thought, wow, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, that really sums it up right there. And what you were talking about other legs, you're referring to something called binary. You see, so many people know binary because binary is two legs.
That's right.
And you only get the volume on the weakest leg, and that's all they know.
That's correct.
So when they start seeing this and realize, no, you got the volume across all of it. In fact, every time there's a sale, you're making a commission. It's incredible. So it doesn't matter whether this one grew this. It's all irrelevant.
That's correct.
Yeah. So
that's correct. And the way that the matrix is positioned, it's done very fairly. It's growing at a very consistent and equal rate, and you don't get that. You just don't get that.
No, you don't. And then you don't get. The other thing is, and I left a message about this earlier. It's about 3 people, and I've harped that from the day I started. I said, just get your 3 people, whatever it takes, because for the first time ever, somebody at the top of the matrix has the same opportunity as the guy at the bottom, because it's 3 people.
That's right.
So it's not, you got to recruit 50. In most programs like this, to get qualified 15 levels down or 12 levels down, you're anywhere from 12 to 15 people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And then you're talking 50 cents on the 12th level.
Yeah.
In this program, you're talking minimum 12.5 euro.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's 500,000 people. Now, will you hit that? I don't know. What if you hit half? What if you hit 100,000 on the 12th level? Wow.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And even with the figures that you've been showing, the 5 and 10 million that we keep hearing about, people, but you know, what you've got to think is, and I think sometimes people can get carried away with figures. The 5 and the 10 million, there are not many opportunities out there in this industry which can, you know, boast that you could potentially experience that kind of growth. But here's the thing: what if you even got 0.5% out of that? It would change your life.
Yes.
It would absolutely change your life.
Yeah, that's, you know, I said that earlier to someone. I said, look, if you can't think that big, just think a couple 100,000, because that's nothing in this business.
No, it isn't. And a couple of 100,000, you're absolutely right. In the realms of stocks and shares and trading, a couple of 100,000 is nothing. People, do you know, there are proficient traders who I used to work with, and you know, I'll give you a sort of a little bit of a snippet. They would have private offices to trade out of, because they would not want anyone to see how they were making their money. So if you ever went into their office, their screens were facing them and not you, and they would be very short with you and say, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And unless you got to the point, they would ask you to leave. And the reason that they were that highly strung is because, you know, we're talking, if you made 100 or 200,000, you know, a year, you'd be happy. These people, if they lost 100 or 200,000, they weren't feeling any pain, because a good day for them was maybe a few, you know, a few million, you know, here and there. And if they lost big on a few million, they were still those adrenaline junkies that would come in the next day and think, no, I'll make it up again. So all of that pressure, that element, that whole risk factor has been taken out. So you can be realistic in the hope and in the knowing that you would even if you experienced 100 or 200, which is very, very likely and doable, you've still achieved something that would have been far beyond, I'm guessing, what your 9 to 5 would give you, you know?
And let me say, you know, I haven't told my full background, but I'll tell you a little snippet. Okay. I worked in a bank in IT. All right.
Sure.
And I worked around traders. And you know what you figured out very quickly? Whether the trader's right or whether he's wrong.
Yes.
You do not argue with the trader. You know why?
No.
The bank will take their side every single time, because that trader is their bread and butter. They make them the money, and they basically get whatever they want.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, you know? It is very much like that. It is very. I mean, I'll even add this to you, that in the course that I went on, and there were you know, they, like I said, they interviewed 50 people, and you know, 20 or 30 of you would get on the course. The trainers who were training out the material over a period of, like, you know, 4 weeks or whatever, they would have discussions between them to say, and out of the people that are in this room, there are going to be 3 that will make it onto the floor, and out of the 3, 1 or 2 will actually remain a trader. And they say that you need to give it 10,000 hours, physical trading hours, before you can actually say that you've given trading a go. This opportunity is taking out all of that, you know, all of that discomfort of the learning, the you know, the paying, the risk, and all the rest of it. I mean, honestly, if you don't jump on board now, you'll be, you know, whoever's, you know, logged on now, or if they've got somebody to log on, you'll be kicking yourself later on, and the person that's told you to be here, that why didn't you force me enough to do it? Well, I'm saying to you, you know, everything that is possible is on the other side of fear. And you know, the fear that you might be talking about, it's 600 euros to overcome that fear initially, of which when you even get your 3, you're going to get you know, 120 euros back for each one of those people that you're going to introduce. So already your fear is starting to cost less and less and less, and then the returns, you know, start to come in from the commissions and the passive income, and even from the back of the trading. It won't be very long before you'll be sitting there thinking, actually, I've already made my money, you know. And I'm already seeing sort of you know, friends who are already in the business sharing the kind of incomes that we're talking about here, and we haven't even gone live yet, and people are already making money. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You know, if you're logged on and you're still thinking about this, that you're wasting time thinking. You really are. And the other thing I tell people is get in right now, because we're in the very, we're in the embryonic stages of everything. Where you're part of the higher part of the matrix at the moment, and all the levels are all being built underneath you. So your likelihood of getting these commissions in is going to be very, very good, because we're at the beginning of this journey together. So,
Absolutely.
and when I say partners, we are all partners, because everyone is helping everybody else.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this presentation for the first time and you're sitting there thinking, how am I going to get support? Let me tell you something. This webinar that I'm doing right now with you, these are pretty much happening every other day, if not every day at the moment. So you're getting support that way. The people who are already in the business, they're giving you support. It's and if you think of it this way as well, Ralph, who's one of the trader, he's a trader himself, and he's also a big hand in the software. Then you've got Mark, who is thoroughly looking at the compensation plan and what have you. I'm on about Mark Keffer, sorry, and then there's obviously yourself, Mark, as well. Mike Keffer, sorry, and these people are accessible to you just via webinars, or just talking over Skype or what have you. Like I said, when I went to Croydon, Ralph wasn't there, and Mike said, do you want to speak to him? And I said, well, I wouldn't mind. He said, okay. He goes, hold on. He got on the phone and he said, it's his wife's birthday today. They were in the middle of celebrating, but Ralph came on to explain. And when we realized that we were both being able to sing from the same hymn sheet, because I knew what the risks were that might would be involved in what I knew as trading, as soon as he sort of showed me the strategy and how it works, I sat there and I thought to myself, there's a couple of things here. He sold it to me, and he showed me a strategy that I wasn't aware of. But two, the guy was celebrating his wife's birthday and he took out 15 minutes to speak to me. There are not many partners or CEOs in companies who will offer you that level of transparency and authenticity. And that's the other thing, for me, authenticity is so key, and if you're not sure what that word means, it's just basically that everything is genuine moment to moment. And in USI-Tech, this is all we've received from the onset. There has just been nothing but a level of transparency and authenticity that I can't scream about enough. Questions are answered straight away, like I've said. And Mark, I mean, for yourself, I'm not sure you ever leave that desk, if I'm really honest with you, because it's as if that's the control tower at a very busy airport. And all we seem to get all day are voice notes from Mark, keeping us completely updated about this has changed, this has happened, you can now do this. When we realized that we could get our audience in the US on board, we heard it first from you. So you're in really good hands with the fact that we've got this this online communication and the technology that allows us to be able to conversate about any changes or any questions that you have. It's in real time, people, and Mark's in Canada. Most of us are here in the UK, so we're getting this real time. I think the only time you went quiet was a couple of weeks ago when you had to pop to the hospital. But other than that, and I'm sure even then you replied back to me at some point. But yeah, this guy's relentless. We know about Raheem's relentlessness, but Mark, I think Raheem and I even speak. You've taken it to another level. You really have. I feel guilty for sleeping these days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel guilty for sleeping.
I just want to build this thing because I see the opportunity. So many people deserve this. People need to give themselves permission to actually go out and win for once in their life. And
yeah,
this is it. I mean, for all us wounded soldiers online that maybe won a little bit here and there, like this can take it to a whole nother level.
No, absolutely. If there are any traders that are listening, we haven't talked about stop loss limits, and I just want to sort of touch on that quickly. That USI-Tech in the software, and I guess if you think about a traditional trading platform and you put a stop loss limit in, or whatever that might be for you, you're doing that because you're manually trading and you're safeguarding yourself. These guys have still put it in, even though it's an automated piece of software, which is not likely to go wrong. Like I said, when the pound crashed they still were up 3.67%. But even out of the integrity, they've still put in a stop loss limit of 20%. So, you can't go wrong. They're safeguarding us everywhere, with everything that they've developed. And the other thing, if you're thinking, I know we've talked a lot about the business being relatively new. The software has actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, it's actually been going through the paces for the last 3.5 years. Is that correct?
Well, that's trading. They've got a
Trading, that's it.
7 year of development. Well, actually, he's been developing these particular robots for 20 years. This
Amazing.
particular version we're dealing with is 7 years old,
Right.
with a 3-year track record. So
With the
yeah,
3-year track record. Yeah. So,
it's not new. It's not
no,
new.
it's not new. It's not new. I think,
It's new in terms of a company, of course, and putting it all
yes,
together. But yeah, they've been and they already have existing VIP clients that they're working with. So it's not like this is their first rodeo. They have high net worth individuals, and they've kind of scaled it down for the average person.
sure. The other thing as well about high net worth individuals, if you imagine the guys that we will be selling the software to, selling the robots to, and and they're joining the matrix. Understand that some of those people will actually could well be high net worth individuals as well. What does that mean for us? Well, it means that there's more money trading inside the matrix. So the equity in this matrix, I think it would be foolish of me to even try and put a figure to it, because nobody will really be able to know what that top value figure is. But I'll tell you this, from what I saw when I was talking to Ralph, and he was telling me from when he was in Germany, is that as users of the software, licensees of the software, we actually have the power to influence the way that the market will move, because there's that many of us using the software. So other traders, as Ralph said, other traders will be looking and thinking, hold on a second, what is going on over there? Not knowing that it's all of these guys that are actually using this software that is, doing what it's actually doing. So, it's a very, very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. You're not, usually trading is all about you and you're on your own, but here you're not. We're all doing it together, and everyone's getting paid. Everyone is getting paid. Each and every single person who is qualified in the matrix is getting paid. But the other thing as well, which you touched on, Mark, when you said about the 12 levels, if there are people within those 12 levels that aren't qualified, because of the compression, it means that those that are actually getting a little bit more as well. So you'd be out of your mind not to be qualified, because if you're not, you're actually giving that to somebody else.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, it's funny too, because the system, I've had people this week say, Mark, I had so much money and now it took a dip, and I'm like, yeah, it took it. You know why it took a dip? They said no. I said, because you had somebody in your leg qualify, and it redistributed the money. So
that's correct.
it will do it during the current week. Once the week's over, it's done and it's locked in, and that's what you get.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the great thing about that is, it's a double-edged sword. If you don't go qualify, then your person above you is going to get more than they normally would have.
Yes.
But if they do qualify during that same week, then it'll actually subtract that money from that, and so it's kind of fluid up and down. It's not a great amount of money,
No.
based on one individual, but the great thing is that it'll pay out over 12. And by the way, it's compressed, so if you've got people below you that as it's coming up the line, even though you may have a couple of kind of dead spots in between, it'll keep going down until you get 12 levels. So you don't ever really miss out on anything, because you got dead positions sitting there. The system compresses and pulls up the volume for you. So it's very fair all the way around.
No, I was just going to say the same thing, that again, from the transparency point of view, it already recognizes that if a person isn't qualified, then through the compression, yes, somebody, it's going to be spread across fewer numbers, 9 people or 10 people or whatever the case might be. So even that, to me, is a very honest part of the compensation plan, that it actually does that.
But just to clarify, it works the other way too, because in order for you to go down 12 levels, so you might get to your 12 levels, well, you got 2 dead positions in between, so
Sure.
technically you're only getting on your 10th. But the
That's right.
system
Yeah.
won't stop there. The system will go further down
Yeah.
until you've gone down your 12 levels. So
12 levels. That's right.
that's a good thing. So that you sitting at the top to be able to go down 12 levels.
Yeah.
If people aren't qualified, it'll still keep going till it finds your 12. So if it's got to go down 20 levels for you to get your 12, it will.
It will.
So
Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
brilliant. It
yeah,
really is brilliant.
absolutely.
It's a shame that you can't turn on the chat here because I'm sure there'll be people typing in "take my money now."
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. I think I haven't. I've kind of checked into that, and it looks like they disabled comments for the live. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
anyway, we'll figure that out. But anyway, listen, we're this has been a super hangout. We're on an hour. I definitely want to have you on at some point again.
We'll
You're
sure
such a
will we will do.
dynamic. Yeah, you're such a
We will.
dynamic person, and we're going to be seeing you at the event in Germany, correct?
Fingers crossed. We're just working out a few logistics, but yes, fingers crossed. Fingers
Okay,
crossed.
great, great. And if you haven't done it yet, in the Facebook group, get back there under events, find the German event. If you're going on the 30th, make sure you check off that you're going in there because they're going to have translation for English-speaking people, and we want to make
That's
sure
correct.
we are
Yeah.
represented, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
No,
It's been
thank you,
an
Mark. Thank you.
awesome,
Thanks for everything that you've been doing.
my pleasure, my pleasure.
Take care.
All right, take care, and we'll talk soon.
Bye bye
Bye-bye.
now.
Bye-bye.